I really need a Sherpa. You wanna be my Sherpa? It pays $0, but you get to do this all day long.
Run it up. Run it up.
Well, I am in the middle of Faro Creek, and you can tell as we go up the valley, it's running out of water. We're doing the Takakkaw Lake trail, and you actually follow the Faro Creek the whole way up. So far, I've been here for 3 days. It's the nicest portion of the hike, and it's the least popular because there's a lot of vegetation overgrown. You know, it's fairly easy to follow the trail, just kind of following the creek. We're heading into Takakkaw Lake, which is actually part of Kootenay National Park, not Banff. Takakkaw Lake, when it comes out of this region behind me there, it doesn't flow into here. It goes the other way. This is so close to the Continental Divide that this becomes a creek maybe a few weeks or a few months out of the year, and then there's just not enough watershed to keep it feeding, so it just dries up. Sadly, for some of these flowers that are probably expecting more water, they won't be getting any here until it rains. So let's head back on the trail and show you guys what Takakkaw Lake looks like. Once you get to this nice little meadow, you're gonna see over there this big boulder. You can see the trail that goes in behind, and that is Takakkaw Lake. It's probably easy to miss, but I mean, you would almost have to walk into the sign, but if you're not actually walking on the trail, let's head up. this is the wonderful, small, and cute little talc lake. As a first note, we are no longer in Banff National Park. We are in Kootenay National Park because all this water here flows out to the Pacific Ocean because we are in the province of British Columbia. I was impressed with the trail coming up here. It looks extremely well defined. It almost looks like it was machined. I feel like if I had like a quad, a four-wheeler, I could almost drive up here. It's not allowed in the national parks, obviously, but the trail is so well defined that I wonder if there was something here in the past. I'm going to be heading out down that way to see if I can traverse that pass over there. Just as you come in and you turn kind of that way and stay away from the forest, I think there's an opening there and you can go all the way up to the pass. The pass, obviously people come in from the other side, so it's steep on the way down, but this would be 100 times easier to get to Maligne Lake because you could come here, check this lake, and then just do the pass and go down. There's two very small waterfalls pouring down in here. Quite neat to see a full overhang on that little one there. The mist gets all evaporated before it even hits the ground. What we can't see at the top, you can see it on the satellite pictures, is there's just a fairly large glacier on the top of that. And there's a form in the second tier. If you're into scrambling, you could fairly easily go up into the first tier and go up into the second tier and check out that forum. Maybe you could find a way up to the third tier and actually see the glacier. It seems kind of flat on the top there. I left the Egypt Lake campground this morning at around 9 a.m. Was amazed at the gorgeous meadow. This is literally the nicest trail you can do if you come to Egypt Lake campground is come to Takakkaw Lake. You'll be impressed because you're in kind of an open meadow the whole way. So this seems like a perfect place to have lunch. So let's do that. And then we'll head back up the pass to see if we can connect over to Maligne Lake. Happy that the topography maps worked out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to go and look at the end of something with your own eyes. You don't trust the topography maps. But this is the end of the valley right behind me over there. So you can totally get up here. And there's actually a faint path on the other side. This was the trail for most of it. It's super easy and the elevation gain is like easy to medium gradual slope the whole way. But on the hard part, we'll be going up and down this over here. So I decided to, instead of trying to go through that, I'm gonna go up on this side and then go up on there and then cross over because it's actually like dirt and there's trees and I think it'll be significantly faster. I have to climb that elevation gain anyways, so instead of bouldering through that stuff, I'm gonna try up there and I'll let you guys know if that worked out. Let's get out of here. This is the top, the almighty pass. After a few years of reading topography maps, I'm kind of getting better at it, and that was a good play to go up there because once I did that elevation gain, then I was pretty much walking on flat ground, just avoiding some boulders, and it was super easy. And I wouldn't have come across that herd of bees going into the flowers over there. So that was kind of neat. The easy way to get to Maligne Lake might be to come this way, because this didn't take me long. This took me 3 hours total. I did take a break at the lake down there, and it's only like 6 kilometers total. And now you're at the top here and you get the scenery of that whole valley, and then all you have to do is go down. The trail is probably not like the best, so you have to do a little bit of route finding, but you're coming down, so it's slightly easier. It's kind of easier to see from the top. You can tell that there's kind of a path, and it leads all the way down to those kind of red rocks, and you're kind of doing a switchback there, which is probably way safer. And then from there, you just cut back across, then just cross those big boulders, and there's kind of like a scree pile there, and you can follow that scree pile, and then from there you can go on the other side of that big boulder, and I think that's the safest route up there. Also, if you're going to Maligne Lake and you're experienced with scrambling, you might be able to get away by coming here and then just traversing the front side here, because right now we're sitting actually higher than Maligne Lake. You could go from boulder to the boulder and then just kind of step down, step down, step down. It's time to head back down there, and I'm gonna descend the pass safely. So let's keep on the trail, guys. This is giving me more and more the Lake O'Hara vibes every time I hit the top of a ridge and see meadows and rock walls and boulder piles all over the place. Right beside me, there's this really, really slow trickle that slowly dug itself in, and you can hear it. You can barely see the top of it. That's why you stay on the trail, because if you step in one of those, it could actually be 2-3 feet deep. I've seen some on the west side of the Giant Steps waterfall. Unfortunately, I got caught in there and I had to turn around, but there was some like that. They were actually like, they would have come up to like your waist, so they might have been 1.5 meters deep. I got a big pointy mountain in behind me. You can tell that that threw all of those rocks and boulders down here, and there's a bunch more over here. I feel like there should be way more water here, but there's Maligne Lake that's just on the other side of that huge wall there. There is actually a really big flat spot right in front of me there, and there's a little bit of water there, so I'm thinking that kind of in the spring, water kind of pools up in there, but there's not a whole lot. What's unique about this pass is all of this water here is in Banff National Park. So this is actually part of the Continental Divide. So on that side and behind me there's like this big clump of rock. It doesn't look that impressive on this side, but when you're at the Egypt campground, it looks really impressive. It looks like the big beehive at Lake Louise. It's just that this one should be called the huge beehive because it's way bigger. Let's keep on going here, and we're gonna go check out Maligne Lake, which is just on the top there. We have a lot of stuff to do, so let's keep out on the trail. Did you actually think I was going to leave without my backpack? Come on now. Maligne Lake. Quite the effort to get up here. What's in behind me there is called Maligne Lake. I think they're just going with the theme about the Sphinx and the Pharaoh and the Scarab and Egypt, and so this is like the 5th rendition of the grand Egyptian theme here in Banff National Park. It's just kind of in between these two mountain ridges, so there's probably quite a bit of water down there, but it does kind of look like if you were in like an alumni bag. It's kind of fitting for backpacking trips. I didn't have a good view of the lake from down there where the trail kind of ends, so I climbed up this big pile of boulders. There's a big boulder right there. It seems like it's a really large house for 2 marmots there. Top of that rock, see if we can get them to react here. One kind of move. It's like, doesn't sound like a marmot. Must be a human making fun of us. The lake protrudes really deep in there and then stops. So all the water that flows into here goes out into SCARAB Lake. The pass kind of continues. I don't think it's a pass. I think it's just like a mountain drop. But there is a trail that leads from Highway 93 on the Canadian National Park all the way around this whole range here, and it comes back to Talk Lake. That far valley at the far back in between Pharaoh's Peak, so that keeps going as well. There's another campground at the far back in there, and then from there you can also go back towards Highway 93, or you can go the other way and you end up at Shadow Lake, which would be at the far other end of this range here. I see a cool little peninsula that sticks out here with a bunch of trees on top. And then there's another one back in there. My first idea was to see if I could hike around Maligne Lake. I should probably start from that end just to make sure that you can cross there. But it's like this, most of what I can see here, at least on this side. And then on that side, it's a little bit easier, but it's a lot of scree. We're gonna go down to the front of Maligne Lake and check out the whole wooded area and show you guys the view from the other side, because Maligne Lake, from the side that you come up, it kind of curves and then you don't really see it that well. This lake is probably 3 times bigger than what you can actually see. Let's head back down on the trail and show you guys the front end of Maligne Lake. This is the gorgeous Maligne Lake. We're able to hike all the way down to the north side of the lake. That's the side where Maligne Lake flows into SCARAB Lake. I wasn't too sure if it was like a small creek. Usually at these types of elevations, the water will have a tall waterfall or like a gorge or something along those lines. Here, it's like it drips down out of here really slowly, and there's a big opening in between, but it was quite a neat thing to find. I didn't find an official trail that leads out here, so I just kind of hiked back up, and you can zigzag through. The trees aren't that dense. There's tons of cool lookouts. You can get a cool lookout of the pass where Talk Lake is, and you can get a good view of the north side, the stream that flows into Egypt Lake. Coming on the end of the lake, it gave me a better vantage point at the far end. There is quite a bit of boulders there on the east side, and it seems like it kind of relaxed for a little bit, and then there's like a little peninsula, and then at the far back you can see some just big piles of scree. So let's keep on hiking around and see what else cool we can find here around Maligne Lake.
ladies and gents, is the other end of Maligne Lake. The far south side, there's one little lookout there. You have to go bypass it. But when you see the big nub with all these rocks, you have to go higher to go around it. And same thing with the one that's closer to me right there. On this side, there's a gorgeous little meadow. There's like a small forum in here. There's like a little peninsula that sticks out, and you can follow the lake. And then once you pass the trees, go back and hug the mountain, because then there's another one of those like big boulders, and if you go higher up, you can avoid the whole thing and then come back down. This would be also the Continental Divide. I went a little bit further. This is like just a normal rocky pass, nothing overly special. They had a really good view at the other end. Definitely not as good as this view here for sure. For those who want to do Pharaoh's Peak, you can see it clear as day over here. There's kind of like a scramble up the middle. And then once you get to the top of the ridge, it kind of veers off, goes off at an angle. And I was gonna record a bunch of information here for you guys to do the trail. And then I got interrupted by a black bear who just snuck in behind me, and he came down here. He didn't actually see me. And then when I seen him, I packed up all my stuff and I moved away, and he still didn't see me. And then I made some noise. And then he bolted. As soon as he's like, oh, human, and he just ran away. So lucky for me, I seen him before he seen me. I was planning on leaving here through this meadow over here, and obviously not gonna follow the bear. So I'm just gonna go back the way I came. Even though it's shorter to go that way, I'm just gonna leave him alone. I'm gonna go around and show you some cool views on the way. So let's get out of here. Peace out. Look at this view. This is the Whistling Valley. And I get it, because as soon as you get to the top, the wind is just never ending. And it's kind of common for valleys and passes in a way. As soon as you get to the top, that's where all the wind's gonna get funneled either way. But this is where we stop for today, because I don't want to go further down. At the far back, with that big mountain at the back there, if you go around that at the Ball Pass, you can actually go the other direction and go into BC and go all the way into Kootenay National Park. And there's like a trailhead in there. So there's kind of like multiple ways of getting in here. At the very bottom there, you can see it's called Maligne Lake. There's no campground down there. You just kind of like walk through it, but the trail actually passes right close to the lake if you backpack through there. But this is one of a million gorgeous views you'll find here in the whole area. It was 2 days of never-ending enjoyment exploring this area. I feel like there's still a little bit left to be done. So maybe next year we'll have to come back and explore some more here in Banff National Park. And this is the Whistling Valley. And I'm Eric Tremblay, and these are my adventures. Peace out.